Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is BLTsProjects, and today we're talking about a pair of Yamaha Waverunners. Behind me we have two 1995 Yamaha Waverunners. One of them is a 95 Yamaha Waverunners 1100 3-cylinder 3-carb. The other one is a 95 WaveVenture 2-cylinder 2-carb. And we'll be doing some troubleshooting on these, walking you through some basics today of how to troubleshoot engine problems. Just real basic stuff that just about anybody can do with real basic tools. These were brought to me by a friend of mine. The Waverunners runs fine. There's no issues with that. Just the battery was dead, so I went ahead and charged that. The WaveVenture, which is the purple, kind of the purple and green machine there, the 3-seater, he said that somehow it got submerged and got water in it, so we will be doing probably a multi-video series on that, possibly showing you how to diagnose that water issue and where maybe the problem is. Okay, so just a couple quick things on engines in general is that all engines work on the same principle of they need gas, air, and spark to run. So when you're troubleshooting, that's typically where you start. Is your engine getting gas through the system, gas from the tank, through the filter, to the carbs, or the fuel injectors, and into the cylinders? Is it getting spark, which means is there electricity going from the battery through the distributor or some other form to the spark plug wires, to the spark plugs themselves, firing the electrode on during combustion to create the combustion inside the engine? Or is there air? Is there not enough air getting into the engine, either from the intake or from the carburetor or from the air cleaner or something like that? So we'll just do some very basic troubleshooting things, show you some different ways to do that, show you how to test for spark, real easy. You can buy a spark tester for 10 to 20 bucks at O'Reilly's, and I'll show you these spark plugs and kind of what they look like, and we'll go from there. So we'll be right back. So a couple basic things to look for whenever you're troubleshooting any engine is to make sure you have gas, which in this gas tank you can kind of see right here, the gas line is right there. So we know we have fuel. Then the next thing to do is check to make sure you have oil, either on your car or in a Waverunner like this is right here. The oil tank is right here, and you can kind of jiggle it back and forth and see that the oil is moving, so we know we got oil in there. Then the next thing you can do is this is where your fuel comes out to the engine. So you follow that around to your fuel filter, and you can see on this fuel filter, if we look at that, you can kind of see that gas in there a little bit. So we know that gas is going from here to the filter. The question is it getting to the carbs? And we'll know that by obviously if the engine runs. You have your spark plugs here, so we're just going to pull a spark plug and check for spark, and then we'll start the engine. On these Yamahas and usually smaller engines like ATVs and stuff, some lawnmowers, make sure if you're going to start your engine you always have the fuel on. We're going to keep it off for right now while we're testing spark. So I'll go ahead and pull a plug, and I'll show you how to test for spark real quick. Okay, so to test for spark, you're just going to pull the spark plug wire right off the spark plug and kind of get it out of the way. No big deal. You're going to take your ratchet, put it on the plug, and twist it off just like this, and you can just kind of lay your ratchet to the side. And once your plug is loose, just go ahead and with your fingers go ahead and pull it out, and we'll look at it right there. Plug doesn't look too bad. Part of what you're looking for is the distance between the electrode and you're really looking at your gap, which is the distance between the end of the spark plug and the electrode, and that's really good. Doesn't show much wear. You do have some oil on there, which isn't too weird for Yamahas and Waverunners and stuff like that use a lot of oil like this does, so that's not too unusual, so that's pretty good. These are the right plugs. They are NGKs, but just as preventative maintenance, we'll probably go ahead and change those out because we don't know the last time they were changed. Now, to do the test, you'll put your plug back in. It's really easy, and we're going to go ahead and tighten that down. So now that's back in there. That's how you would put the plug back in. Real easy, very simple. And then you're going to take your spark plug tester, and all it is you put the tester on the end of the plug. You kind of hear a little click, and then you put the other end through the spark plug wire, just like so. And just make sure that's in there touching the electrode. Now I'm going to try to leave this here. On that video outside, it was a little hard to see it on the Waverunner, so I went ahead and brought it in here on a riding mower. It's real easy to see. It's just a little easier to see that light, so you can see how to test it. But you put the tester in on your spark plug wire. So you put the one tester in on your spark plug wire, and then the other one leads right into your spark plug. Then when you turn the key, you can see that light real easy on this. Alright guys, welcome back. Now, in the last little minute you saw me start the 95 Waverunners. Ran great, started right up, no problem. So the battery's charged, so it's all good to go. I pulled out the spark plugs. Looked like they had a little bit of oil on them, but that's pretty normal. These go through quite a bit of oil, so that's not too bad. So now this is the 95 Yamaha WaveVenture. This is the one that was underwater, and again, we'll get it all cleaned up and looking great. Underneath here you've got your two cylinders right here, your air intake, air filter. Underneath that are your two carbs, and as you can see, I got it pretty dry. Probably emptied about 6 gallons of lake water out of this the other day to try to get everything dry. Dried the battery area up a little bit, charged that battery, it's ready to go. So normally when you're starting an engine that has been submerged underwater, the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can even get it to turn over, or if maybe the solenoid got wet, and it won't even do that. If the solenoid got wet and the battery's good, you're going to hear nothing when I turn everything on. So again, the starting procedure, the choke button was pulled off, so we pull the choke out, and then we turn the gas on right here. So let's see if we get anything, click or anything. Oh, so it doesn't sound like anything wants to move. The solenoid is back here. You guys might have heard that click. That means something's trying to turn on. Nope, we got nothing. So we'll have to pull the plugs out and see what's going on in there. Alright, so I'm just going to try to give you guys a quick glimpse into one of these cylinders. So normally, if you get a jet ski that's flooded, you would have water sitting down in that cylinder, but you can see I'm passing light through, and there doesn't appear to be any water in either cylinder. So yeah, I know that's hard for you guys to see, but I can see that there's basically no water down there. So it sounds like, since nothing happens when you hit that start button with the plugs out, and this is what the plugs look like, by the way, they'll need to be replaced. They are pretty awful. That electrode's worn basically down to nothing. So those will need to be replaced. Looks like these are the right plugs and possibly the original plugs. So those will definitely be replaced as we work from this problem. So just wanted to show you guys that real quick. We'll be back here in a little bit. Hey guys, just wanted to give you a quick tip when you're troubleshooting and you're looking for whether it's getting gas or air or spark or whatever you're doing. If you know your battery is good and you're working around electrical components, and in this case, not only am I working with electrical stuff, but there's water around me from a previous rain because these Waverunners have sat outside, always make sure to disconnect your negative battery terminal. That way, there's no chance that something will happen and you may get shocked from something you're not seeing. So while you're working on anything, always be safe first. Also, I did put those spark plugs back in. It looks like it may rain, and I didn't want any water to get into those cylinders if it hadn't gotten in there already. So even though I'm going to replace them, I just put them in there a little bit to help seal that off. So, all right, guys, quick update. When you're doing troubleshooting, another good thing to do, especially with something that was underwater, is check your fuses. And I can show you guys that in this one, that fuse is fine. If it wasn't fine, it'd be severed and it would have blown. So I thought maybe that's why it wasn't firing. Maybe the fuse was stopping the electrical process. If that wasn't the case, looks like there's an access panel here. I took this hose out of the way. Looks like we can get to those screws and take this panel off to get to the inner solenoid and all that, because there's 2 bolts that hold this whole brain on. So anyway, so we'll work on that and come back, guys. Whew. Sometimes you just work till you can't work anymore. So here's the update on the WaveVenture. Got the box apart and looked inside, and gonna go ahead and take the solenoid out and test that, and I'll show you guys how to do that. All right, and here we are. We're gonna test the solenoid from the Waverunner. It's real simple. You need 2 things to test this solenoid. Obviously, your solenoid, and then you need a power source, which we're just going to use a power pack that I have. It's no big deal. It's really very simple to do. All you're going to do is you take your solenoid and you hook up your negative lead, just like that, and then you hook up your positive lead. Just like that. So you've got your positive to your positive, your negative to your negative, hooked up to your solenoid. Now when I turn this switch on, you should hear an audible click, and you'll actually possibly see that move. And that means that that switch is working correctly. So here we go. You hear that? And you can see it move a little bit. What's happening is when you are turning on the power to your vehicle, whether it's your car or your ATV or whatever, what's happening is power is coming in here from your battery and flowing out to your starter, and it harnesses all 12 volts right there. So all we need to do is do that again, and you can see that it works just fine. So we know the solenoid works, so we can reinstall that and move on to the starter. And so we'll see in the next segment how that goes. Talk to you guys later.